Yo, what's going on YouTube? This is your boy D Wayne bringing you yet another YouTube video at this time. So basically we're going to be talking about the Ursarctic archetype in this video. These are the newest archetype to come out of the deck building set Ancient Guardians. Now this one pretty much takes synchro summoning and pretty much flips it on its head. Now you guys know with synchro summoning you take the sum of the monsters you have on the field, including tuners and non-tuners, and you add those up to the number of the synchro monster you wish to summon. This instead takes the difference between the two monsters on the field and use those to special summon your extra deck monsters from the extra deck. So in this case, when you're adding, you're actually synchro summoning. In this case, when you're subtracting, you're special summoning, which means when these cards hit the graveyard, you cannot bring them back as they are not being properly summoned. I guess it's not considered properly summoned, so you cannot bring these back from the graveyard. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and let's talk about them for a second. There are a couple of things that are universal to them. Firstly, they can quick effect special summon themselves from their hand by attributing a level 7 or higher monster. So the non-tuners have effects when they special summon themselves while you control another Ursarctic monster, and the non-tuners special summon activate effects when they special summon themselves, period. So those are universal between them, so I won't be reading out those, but they all each have unique effects when they are summoned via their effects. So let's go ahead and get into that, and we'll go straight into that. So alright, so first one is Mega Bililis. Its unique effect is when it's special summoned, you can target one card in your opponent's graveyard and banish it. So simple enough, nothing much needs to be said. Banishing your opponent's resource from the graveyard is always good. It's one card, so it could be spells, traps, or monsters. So the next one is Ursarctic Megapola. This one's unique effect is when it's special summon, you can target one spell or trap card your opponent controls and destroy it. Next one is Megatanius. This one, when it's special summon, you can target one face-up monster your opponent controls and change it into face-down defense position. Alright, so those are all the tuner monsters. The non-tuners, when this one is special summon, this is Mike Pola. When this one is special summon, you can add one Ursarctic monster from your deck to your hand. So simple enough, good searching. Honestly, I should have searched the entire archetype because the spell traps are not searchable, but Konami does stuff like that. I don't know why. Alright, so next one is Ursarctic Mike Tennis. This one, when special summon, you can add one Ursarctic monster from your graveyard to your hand. So, a bit of recursion there because this deck, it requires a lot of cost to bring these monsters out, so you gotta have some level of recursion to get back those resources. Alright, so last monster is Ursarctic Mike Billis. This one, when special summon, you can special summon one Ursarctic monster from your hand except another copy of itself. Alright, so that is it for the monsters. Spells, of course, to help with consistency, of course, you need your trade-ins and your Sacred Sword of 7 stars, because each of the monsters are level 7 and level 8 respectively. So these handles your, getting you some draws with banishing or discarding either level. So of course we got your staples, Monster Reborn, of course. And then we have one of the first spells, Ursarctic Slider. This is your Monster Reborn for Ursarctics. So you target one of your Ursarctic monsters that is banished or in your graveyard, special summon, but it cannot attack. Also destroy it during the end phase. For the rest of the turn, after this card activate, you cannot special summon monsters except monsters that have a level. You can only activate one of these per turn. So of course, the Sacred Sword of 7 Stars banishes your level 7 monsters to draw 2 cards. So it will combo well with this to special summon that monster you banished to activate to get your resource back that was banished. So yeah, so you get 2 cards and your monster you summon back. So that gives you with some plus advantage there. So you got Pinpoint Land, of course. because all your monsters special summon from hand, of course. So this will, get you your draws when you special summon from hand. So just more consistency for the deck because it needs it. And now we have the field spell filler. This one is Ursarctic Big Dipper. So once per turn, if your Ursarctic monster will tribute a monster to activate an effect, you can banish one level 7 or higher Ursarctic monster from your graveyard instead. Each type of monster is special summoned. Place one counter on this card. Once per turn, if a card is special summoned, you can remove all counters from this card, minimum 7, to target one monster your opponent controls and take control of it. So, that first effect is actually pretty decent. It's more mitigation for your resources, of course, because this deck is very resource reliant and it really does tax your resources from your hand. So you need to be able to use those resources from your graveyard in order to activate effects, right? So, and the second effect being able to take control of your opponent's monster, that's cool, I guess. Not that it's going to often come up, but it's something cool to have. Alright, and now we have the Ursarctic trap card. This is a Ursarctic Queen in Charge. This is a continuous trap that says when your Ursarctic monster is destroyed by battle or your opponent's attack a monster, you can make your opponent shuffle cards from their hand, field, or graveyard into the deck until they have a total of 7 cards. Once per turn, you can pay 700 life points to activate one of these effects. Add one Ursarctic monster from your graveyard to your hand. Tribute 2 Ursarctic monsters, and if you do, special summon one Ursarctic monster from your extra deck, who levels equals the difference between the levels. Difference in levels between those monsters, ignoring its summoning condition. So basically, the second effect is a quick effect, synchro summon on your opponent's turn to special summon one of your synchro monsters. First effect, it's another recursion for your resources, of course. Getting your monsters back to the hand from the graveyard every turn can, work in your favor as subsequent turns pass. So your opponent will really have to deal with this card, or things can tend to get out of hand depending on the game state. Alright, so that's that. So we have stables, of course, strike, and infinite impermanence. So now we're going into the extra deck. We got the first monster, the Ursarctic Polari. This one cannot be synchro summoned. Must be special summoned from the extra deck by sending one tuner and one non-tuner monster you control to the graveyard, whose difference equals the levels. The levels equals 1, so there's the whole difference thing between the monsters. So 8 minus 7 equals 1, of course. So, alright, so its first effect, you can only use the following effects of pulling once per turn. This card is special summon. You can activate one Ursarctic Big Dipper, that is the field spell directly from your deck. And you can tribute one level 7 or higher monster, add to your hand, or special summon one Ursarctic monster from the graveyard. So combine this with the field spell. It mitigates the tributing by banishing one of your Ursarctic monsters from the graveyard to get another Ursarctic monster from the graveyard. So, instead of tributing from the field or hand, you could just banish your resources with the field spell on the field. So that's why it's good to, directly set it from the deck. So it gets over Ash, so it's not directly searching it, so it gets over Ash Blossom. So, alright, so this is basically your starter cards to get into your big boys. So let's get into the next one. Next one is Ursarctic Grand Chariot. Also, cannot be special summoned, must be special summoned from your deck by sending one level 8 or higher tuner and one non-tuner synchro monster you control to the graveyard, whose difference equals 7. So if this card is special summoned, you can target up to 2 other cards on the field, destroy them. Once per turn, when the card or effect is activated that targets one Ursarctic cards you control, quick effect, you can tribute one monster from your hand to field, negate the activation. So of course, combos with the field spell, banishes resources to protect your Ursarctic cards. Alright, and the destruction is pretty good because you can quick effect synchro with the trap card. So when you do that, you can destroy 2 cards your opponent controls, which will disrupt any of their plays. Alright, so last but not least, we have Ursarctic Serpentarian. Cannot be single summon, special summon from yesterday, level 8 higher tuner, 1 non-tuner synchro, whose levels difference in levels equals 7. So this one says negate the effects of all face-up monsters, special summon from the extra deck, that have no level. That means Links and Xyz summon and Xyz. If your opponent special summons a monster, all monsters, you can add one Ursarctic card from your deck to your hand. You can only use this effect of Ursarctic Septentrion, look at his name, once per turn. So, of course, with all the resources it takes to summon this, it better have a pretty good, decent payoff, being able to search any Ursarctic card when your opponent special summons a monster. Of course, this game is very special summon heavy, so you're going to get that effect off at some point. And being able to stop your opponent's Links and XYZ's plays are pretty decent. Of course, decks that are Link and Xyz focused will have a hard time when this card is on the field. So, alright, so with that being said, just my overall thoughts. My only main issue is, while it has some recursion, of course, when you're running high-level monsters, you always run into that thing where you're a brick, even though they can special summon themselves. There's always that chance you may run all of the tuners or all of the non-tuners, since you run 3 of everything to make sure you have consistency in having monsters in here, because you need the monsters to go into your plays. And I like the whole idea of them taking the difference of the monsters as opposed to doing the sum of the monsters. Gives Synchro Summoner like a fresh perspective, so to speak. So of course, with all deck building packs, we're going to be getting outside support in other packs, and I'm definitely looking forward to see how this deck shapes out to be. Alright, so of course, let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and I will leave that at that. So I'll be bringing you guys more videos in the meantime, but until then, peace, YouTube.